In August of 1977, a police constable entered a modest home in North London after a report that furniture was moving on its own. He did not arrive expecting to witness anything unusual. He left having written in his notebook that the chair moved across the floor without visible contact. This entry preserves what was reported and where agreement begins to fracture. The house stood at 284 Green Street in Enfield, a narrow, ordinary property. Brick exterior, small front garden, shared walls. The kind of home that exists in repetition along a long London street without distinction. Inside lived Peggy Hutchin and her 4 children. Margaret, 13, Janet, 11, Johnny, 10, Billy, 7. There was no recorded history of violence in the home. No known occult practice. No notoriety. Nothing in its architecture suggested that it would enter public record. On the night of August 30th, Janet and Margaret shared a bedroom. They reported knocking sounds against the wall, furniture shaking, a chest of drawers sliding. Peggy entered the room and told them to stop. The movement continued. The family called neighbors. The neighbors reported hearing the knocks. Shortly after, police were contacted. Constable Caroline Heaps responded. In her official statement, she wrote that she witnessed the chair move from the wall across the room. She attempted to replicate the movement herself. She could not. Within days, journalists from the Daily Mirror were inside the home. Photographs were taken. Audio recordings began. Researchers from the Society of Physical Research established long-term observation inside the house. Reports included objects thrown without visible source, loud knocking patterns, responding to questions, and a male voice speaking through Janet. Police officers reportedly observed chairs moving. Neighbors reported disturbances. Journalists described witnessing phenomena Alongside these accounts, moments of doubt surfaced. Janet was caught bending spoons. The girls were seen attempting to recreate sounds. At least some incidents were acknowledged as pranks. The investigators documented these admissions. For over a year, activity was reported. The alleged voice identified itself as Bill Wilkins, a former resident who had died in the house years earlier. The voice answered questions. Audio recordings captured strained vocalizations lasting extended periods. Medical professionals later stated that sustaining such speech would be physically difficult, not impossible, difficult. The events gradually subsided. By 1979, no formal conclusion was issued by authorities. No charges filed for fraud. No declaration of haunting. The family eventually moved. The house remains standing. Subsequent occupants have not reported comparable disturbances. What remains is not proof of a haunting. What remains is documentation that police entered, journalists stayed, investigators recorded, skeptics objected, and witnesses insisted. Uncertainty did not emerge. Some observers concluded it was an elaborate hoax, sustained by children seeking attention. Others believed certain phenomena exceeded deliberate fabrication. Neither position eliminated the other. The disturbance is not a ghost. The disturbance is this: when multiple witnesses observe the same event and documentation exists and fraud is partially confirmed but not fully explanatory, reality becomes divided. The Enfield case did not end with revelation. It ended with fatigue. Years later, the photographs remain. A girl appearing airborne above her bed, chair angled unnaturally. Investigators leaning forward in dim light. Each image invites a decision. None compels one. Constable Heaps did not enter as a believer. She left having recorded movement she could not explain. That entry in her notebook remains. This archive does not certify the supernatural. It preserves the documented parameter where explanation thins. The house still stands. The street continues. Most nights pass without disturbance. But in one documented span of months, something occurred at 284 Green Street that fractured certainty and never repaired it. This entry does not ask you to believe. It asks only that you recognize where record exists and where it refuses to resolve. The account remains divided. The documentation remains intact. The parameter holds. The record remembers.